What is up, ladies and gentlemen? Mikey McNuggets here. Earl the Pearl's going to hop on with us here in 1 sec. G. Bush will be logging in here in a minute as well, but we were not expecting to have some breaking news on a Saturday morning. But hey, what happens in Cleveland and what Andrew Berry can cook up, it is inevitable. This stuff, incredible moves here by Andrew Berry. A 5th and a 6th round pick for Jerry Jeudy, something that we had talked about last offseason as a potential landing destination if the Broncos were going to move on from Jerry Jeudy. Never came to fruition. There was a chance during the regular season at the deadline. This was a move the Cleveland Browns were looking at. It took until the beginning of this offseason to officially come through, but it has happened, and the Browns have acquired Jerry Jeudy from the Denver Broncos in exchange for a 5th and a 6th round pick in this upcoming NFL draft. Now, there's one caveat. The Browns do have to pay Jerry Jeudy or decide if they want to pay Jerry Jeudy. It could be a 1-year rental. We got to drop the 2 host here. I don't know how to get rid of that, Earl. But Earl the Pearl will be joining us here. Yeah, drop all that, Earl. Drop all of it. Nope. Earl, drop it all, then I'll take you back in here so we don't got the crossovers. Stop hitting buttons. Let's figure out how to get just 2 of us on here. We're not G. Bush. We're not Quincy. All right, here. Let's do it this way. It's a new system for us, guys. We apologize. This is good enough. It's a Cavs color. But at the end of the day, Earl the Pearl, how you doing, my friend?
What's up, brother?
And Jerry Jeudy is a member of the Cleveland Browns. How about that?
Smooth pickup. 5th round pick for Jerry Jeudy, young wide receiver. Have not really lived up to the potential of the draft stock, but you get a fresh start in a fresh place. This is a dude when he came out of college was highly, highly touted. That's the next big thing. We talked about trading for Jerry Jeudy, I think last offseason. And so here we are with him now. I like the addition. A 5th round pick for him. Like, let's go. Right. He gets a year to prove himself. If he proves himself, then you have your wide receiver going forward. Once you move on from Amari Cooper two seasons from now. So I like the move. And the fact that you gave up a 5th round pick for him says that there still might be another wide receiver added to this roster. So really, really like the move. Solid move. Andrew Berry he cooking like he always do.
Yeah. So Andrew Berry, by doing this, and it's a 5th and a 6th round pick. So 2 late round draft picks. Yeah. For Jerry Jeudy, a former 1st round pick. So return on investment for Denver. Spend a 1st round pick on a guy, you're getting a 5th and 6th back. Did not pan out great for the Denver Broncos, but as the saying goes, Earl, someone else's trash could be our treasure. And if Jerry Jeudy with Deshaun Watson in this new offense, whether it's Ken Dorsey calling plays, whether it's Kevin Stefanski calling plays, if they can get the most out of Jerry Jeudy, he certainly has the talent to be a more productive player than he'd been with the Denver Broncos. And you go back and look at his stats as a rookie, he had 52 receptions for 856 yards and 3 touchdowns. In his second season, he only played 10 games, had 38 receptions, 467 yards, did not find the end zone that year. His third season, 2022, was his best season, 67 receptions, 972 yards, 6 touchdowns. And this most recent season, 54 catches, 758 yards, and 2 touchdowns. So he's had a bit of an up and down career, a lot of targets, not a lot of receptions. Is that Jerry Jeudy's fault? Is that lackluster quarterback play in Denver, which they just let go of Russell Wilson for? I think you could blame a lot of that on the quarterback play in Denver, but certainly a guy with a ton of upside and a ton of potential that if the Browns can unlock here, could be your wide receiver 2 this year and a guy who's in the receiving corps for years to come. Early. He's still a young player, still a very young player.
He's 24. He'll be 25 on the 24th of April, 6'1", 193 pounds, and the dude has speed. So this is what we wanted. A guy that got some size on him. Not some size, but he got some length on him, and he can get downfield to be a downfield target, right? We needed that vertical deep threat, a guy that can step in and instantly be your wide receiver too. I think it makes things more exciting, more creative, and more spacious for guys like Elijah Moore and David Njoku. So I really, really like the move. When you give up a 5th and a 6th round pick for a guy that was a 1st round pick just 4 seasons ago, like there's a reason why they made the trade, but at the same time, there's untapped potential there. I don't think people are ready to give up on Jerry Jeudy after 4 seasons. So, we see a lot of times where wide receivers don't have success or players, period, don't have success where they start their career, they move on and they tend to have more success. I think of guys like Marshawn Lynch, started his career in Buffalo. Not too much success there, but when he moved to Seattle, he became beast mode. So, this is a dude who's getting a fresh start with an exciting team, a team that's a winning team, a team that has a good culture. And if he could come in, feed off that energy, I think he'll be okay.
Yeah, and the one thing with Denver is they're paying Russell Wilson $85 million over the next 2 years not to be there. So when they were looking at players to sign and re-sign, they're kind of handcuffed in what they can do financially because so much money's tied to Russell Wilson, who's not even part of their 53-man roster moving forward, Earl. So in Denver's eyes, they're probably saying, hey, we're not going to re-sign Jerry Jeudy. We're trying to rebuild. We need more cheaper, younger, late-round draft picks to fill this roster out because we can't afford more expensive players because of Russell Wilson's cap hit. If we get 2 picks, okay, he's not in our future. We're not going to be ready to win this season or next season. But I think what I like most about this move, Earl, and it's going to depend on whether or not the Browns are going to pay Jerry Jeudy now or they're going to wait till the end of the season. And I want to give you both sides of the coin here, okay?
Okay.
If they decide to pay him now, you're probably going to get a much better deal on Jeudy before he has any track record in Cleveland, right? So you're paying for what he did in Denver, which was not great. Not bad, but not great.
Mm-hmm.
So if you pay now, you can get a better deal on Jerry Jeudy. If you wait till the end of the season, you're going to pay on what he does here in Cleveland, and that could be better. However, as it stands right now, the Browns still have plenty of cap space to go out and sign another receiver in free agency. So I'm curious what you think about, do you think Jeudy, Cooper, Moore, Tillman, and Njoku as your 5 pass catchers in the big scope of things is enough? And then you take the risk on having to pay Jeudy, which I'm going to make these numbers up. I don't know if this is accurate. I'm just going to make this up. Let's say you could sign Jeudy right now, 3 for 36 as an extension. But if he balls out this year, that number's 3 for 54 next year. You know what I'm saying? It could be a pretty big difference in contracts for Jeudy. So do you think that's enough of a difference to try and get a deal done now with Jerry? Or would you rather wait, see what he does here in Cleveland, and then try to figure out his deal on the back end?
I'm going to wait because I want to see what happens with Mike Williams. Personally, I'm still interested in Gabe Davis. There's still another wide receiver to go to be had. I think adding another wide receiver along with Jerry Jeudy to go with Elijah Moore and Amari Cooper seems much better, and it's more strength in numbers than, the lineup that you just rolled out there. So, he still has to prove himself, right?
Yeah.
I like the deal. You gave up some late round picks, but I wouldn't be in a hurry to pay him right now if you don't have to pay him right now. You know what I mean? Let him go out there and earn a new contract from Cleveland Browns. So step in, prove yourself. We go from there. But on the flip side of it, it allows you, like you said, to sign another wide receiver. And there is going to be wide receivers on this market that, won't go off the board immediately day one of free agency. And so, again, I go back to a guy like Gabe Davis, who's played with Ken Dorsey, a guy that won't command much on an open market, I believe, and another big body wide receiver that can get downfield, another vertical threat. This is a dude who scored at least 6 touchdowns each year of his career. I know that's not a number that's eye-popping, but when you think of any Browns wide receiver not named Amari Cooper, who had better numbers to him over the last 4 seasons? And so you get that. I'm talking about Gabe Davis. You used to add a guy like that with Jerry Jeudy. So I think just making a deal, let him play off this last year of his contract, signing another wide receiver in free agency, then you move on from there. But, he did what he normally does. He goes out there and he finds a team and he seems to be able to finesse them. I ain't saying Jerry Jeudy is Amari Cooper, but he did get him for a late round pick and it worked out when they thought he was done. So,
yeah. And that's, one of the things we have to, sometimes we forget, but in the big picture, like you can't pay everybody like that. And that is true. It'll happen for the Browns at some point. It'll happen. And finding these guys like a Jeudy, like a Cooper in the situation with Dallas, whether it's another team that we're not thinking of right now, it could be a cap casualty with Mike Williams. There are guys that could be acquired because the other team just simply can't pay. And those are the guys who I'm usually more interested in than trying to sign a guy in free agency. Because if a player hits free agency, there's probably a reason he was not re-signed. You know what I'm saying? Like, They all have flaws. None of these guys are perfect. I don't think if Jerry Jeudy was a free agent receiver from the get-go, we still would have rather had Higgins or Mike Evans or Michael Pittman. So, like, I'm not going to pretend this was my number one get. But at the same time, if you tell me now that Amari Cooper is your number one receiver and Jerry Jeudy's your 2, which slides Elijah Moore to your 3, and you have David Bell and Cedric Tillman competing for that 4th spot, and then you have Njoku at the tight end position, I think everyone fits into their role now a little better than they had in the previous iteration where Elijah Moore was a 2. Maybe he turns into a 2. I didn't see enough last year to feel confident that he is a number 2 receiver yet, Earl. We didn't see enough from David Bell or Cedric Tillman to make me feel confident they're a bona fide 3. So now everyone slides down a spot, and if Moore's your 3, if Tillman and Bell are competing to be your 4, with Deshaun Watson under center, with David Njoku at the tight end position, with whoever they signed to help Nick Chubb in the backfield, there are a lot of offensive weapons here for whoever's calling plays and all the minds in the offensive room and the staff to come together to figure out, all right, you want to take this away? Well, now we have X, Y, and Z, as opposed to last year, if it's let's take out Amari, you really only had 1 or 2 other options with Nick Chubb hurt. So I'm a big fan of this move, Earl. And at the end of the day, very low risk for potentially very high reward. I don't think in a 60 day is going to kill you in the long run for a guy to bring in with Jerry Jeudy's potential.
Yeah, I agree with that. You know what I mean? I just hope his head is in the right space. You know, I go back to last season and, you know, you remember the infamous interview that Steve Smith gave when he expressed his opinion of one Jerry Jeudy. And that same game, we seen, you know, more dancing and more antics than we seen production on the field. But I also know that he was very unhappy there. I mean, you look at the entire Denver Broncos situation from afar, it looks like a toxic environment, right? Yeah, and so I can understand, like, you know, players being in that environment, you know, kind of conducting themselves a certain way. But you get the opportunity to get a fresh start with a damn good football team, a team that from afar you watch have success, you know, as the season went on. And who wouldn't want to come in and be a part of this culture? Who wouldn't want to come in and be a part of what's going on here in Cleveland? And so he gets the opportunity to start fresh. Having a guy that went to Alabama that's an OG in the NFL and a wide receiver room, which with Amari Cooper, he's definitely going to take that dude up under his wing. And so you got a guy that's a pro's pro that can teach him how to be a pro. He already has the talent and the skill set. He just has to put everything together. And if he puts everything together, the Cleveland Browns once again got another steal.
And let me put it this way too, Earl. You know, when are you more motivated than in a contract year?
Yeah, I mean, not only are you motivated, but because here's the thing, right? I think all these guys is always motivated contract year, but he's heard the noise. He's heard the chirping. And I think it's the contract year. I think you're motivated by being in a new environment. I think you're motivated by being paired up with Amari Cooper. Right?
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, like I think Jerry Jeudy's coming into this situation. Not only is it a fresh start, but he knows, hey, I want to get paid. And you know what? These guys got rookie contracts. It's good money. Like, obviously, life-changing money. Earl, you and I would die for an NFL first-round wide receiver contract. I'm not saying it's like he's broke, but that first contract you sign, that extension you get, if you live up to that first-round status, that's generational life-changing money. So Jerry Jeudy coming in here, now he has a quarterback that I hope he feels more confident in Deshaun than he did in Russell Wilson and whoever they had previous. Did he play with Flacco in Denver? Was that the year that did they overcross in Denver, by the way?
They may have. I mean, he was there 4 years.
Not quite sure, but you get what I'm saying, like big picture. Yeah. And also, I want to throw this out there. So now you have a wide receiver room, Amari, Jeudy, Moore, Tillman, Bell, whoever else. I'm not opposed to still drafting a receiver in the second round, Earl. I'm still at 54. If there's a receiver you like on the board, I'm still all for drafting another receiver. And I know G always says Operation Stockpile. And I think to an extent, G likes to stretch the parameters of reality a little bit. I love G, but sometimes he wants everybody. I don't think you need everybody. I think another receiver, a young guy with a ton of potential, I am all for drafting another receiver at 54 if he's the best player available. But it gives you flexibility that you don't have to reach for a receiver there if there's another guy at a different position of need you like.
At the end of the day, we like this move just like we like the move for Elijah Moore last year. The reality is, even with the addition of Jerry Jeudy, the only sure thing in a wide receiver room is Amari Cooper.
Fact.
And so, you need to kind of go get as many guys as you can, because even the guy that you draft is not a sure thing, right? And so you want to have as many weapons as you can deploy at that position. I'm not quick to give up on Cedric Tillman. He definitely struggled his rookie season. The dude couldn't get open, right? And his route running was a big issue, especially down the stretch. And so if that's something that he's working on this offseason, I think he'll continue to get better. I'm starting to see a trend into as far as the wide receiver body type, the type of wide receivers that, that we're starting to acquire on this team. And so, like, you're going to start seeing some guys kind of weave themselves out by default. But, I would still go get another wide receiver, whether it be in the second round, whether it's somebody that you see in free agency, even if it's not Gabe Davis, if they want to sign a guy in free agency that's not a big splash guy, another guy that's kind of, got the potential, but hasn't quite really reached it yet. I wouldn't be surprised at that. A guy like Daryl Mooney, for example.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Another speedster, another guy that can stretch the field, get downfield. You're going to get that dude for cheap. You can get him late in free agency, and that's just another body to bring in here, man. But it's crazy. Hey, G, we just got off there, man.
Man, we just got, listen, this is why this is why I mess with the ultimate channel. Listen, I was at the TV. I just got back to the crib, right? Put some gas in my car. I'm like, why is Mikey McNuggets and Earl on? And I just seen Earl. What is he doing? They out here trying to photobomb. I'm like, I know the Ultimate 216 is hot. I was like, listen, they trying to get on these Ultimate Browns level. I don't like this. Let me see what's going on. And then I said live. I went back to the beginning and said, yeah, G. Bush supposed to be on here in a second. I said, hold on. Give me a hat. Give me a fresh hat. I got to go in. Jerry Jeudy for a 5th and a 6th. Minimowski picks.
Yeah.
These guys are crazy.
And shout out real quick, G. I want your thoughts on all this, but shout out to the 1,200, 1,300 people we got live in here right now. Y'all are officially OGs. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. We appreciate every single one of y'all. And we mean that from the absolute bottom of our heart. G, you look at the wide receiver room now. You got Amari Cooper still your bona fide 1. You got Jerry Jeudy sliding into the 2 slot. Elijah Moore in the 3. Bell Tillman at the 4. When you look at I got 2 questions for you, but I'll start with this one. When you look at the big picture of this receiver room, I think Cooper's a solid number 1. I think Jerry Jeudy has the potential to be a really good number 2. Moore, Tillman, Bell, 3, 4. It just feels a lot deeper and a lot more well-rounded than it did 45 minutes ago before this news broke.
Man, it's so crazy because me and Earl was on the radio just talking about it. Listen, a lot of these top names is up out of here. You know what I'm saying? Do you really want to give up that bag of money for guys like Mike Williams being injured, for guys like Gabe Davis, who, according to some people, is underperforming? And so now when you look at this, you still can look and squint and be like, Jerry Jeudy, I was laughing and joking. I said, I still remember when Jerry Jeudy was in Alabama giving people the business. And I'm like, you get a guy like this now on the cheap? Let's remind people, a 5th and a 6th round picks don't make your squad. If you looking at it like that, 5th and 6th round picks don't even make your squad usually if you taking these guys in the draft or you punt them down the road to get something else.
Last season, the 5th and 6th round picks were DTR and Luke Whippler. So if you want to use that as a comparison, the Browns, and it's not the same every year, but the Browns essentially traded Luke Whippler and DTR for Jerry Jeudy.
How is he doing it? Andrew Berry must have pictures on these guys. He must have pictures and voicemails. Like, he has both audio and visual dirt on these guys. Listen, this is the Steele dossier right now. He has the Steele dossier worth on everybody. And to get a dude like Jerry Jeudy, and now you can mix it, I feel so much more comfortable about Elijah Moore. Think about this, and that's not even the second target. We talk about David Njoku still is one of the targets in here. And here's the thing that really helps and messes and does this thing justice. Now look what you've done. You still got some. How does this look as far as cap space is concerned?
So I'll answer that question in 1 sec, but I want to read you guys a tweet from Albert Breer. This came out literally 20 seconds ago. Okay. New Browns wide receiver Jerry Jeudy looked up to fellow South Florida native Amari Cooper coming up. Cooper was the reason why Jeudy went to Bama, and Jeudy has patterned his game after Cooper. Add that to the contract year dynamic, and the Browns are well positioned to maximize Jeudy. So the Browns just acquired essentially Amari Cooper 2.0. We mentioned the one caveat of the trade is this is the final year of Jerry Jeudy's contract. So you make this deal either as a 1-year rental or Jeudy as a guy the Browns look at as a potential extension candidate. So I'm not, and I asked her earlier, do you think they should try to extend him now based off his production in Denver? Or do you let him play a year, see what you got, and then decide? And the only reason I ask that is if he has a great season, he's going to cost a lot more in 2024 heading into 2025 than he would right now heading into the 2024 season.
I give him, listen, if they can save some of this cap space, I got him on if you clean your room up and make sure you bring that C up to a B, I got the PlayStation money. That's like your parents do. You clean that room up, bring that C to a B. We got the PlayStation money in 9 weeks. Let him play 6 weeks, right? Let him play a couple weeks. Let him go through OTAs and see what he's looking like, see if he's hungry. And if he's coming out here looking like a bona fide number one receiver, then we got the money for you. Why wait it out? You could get that money right here and say you can learn up underneath Amari Cooper. You got the thing with Watson. Listen, right now, this looks great because I just talked to Tyvis on the radio, and he was talking about if you ain't got the receiver you want, you now have an opportunity to look defensively. Since we only use draft picks and no bread, you telling me that I got Wilkins on the board still? I'm getting greedy. I'm looking at Chris Jones. I'm like, Chris, what's up, bro? Like, we didn't have that bread before, but now it's looking spooky out here, McNuggets. And they still could get a receiver if they truly wanted one to fall to them 254.
All right, I got a super chat that I want to come to you with a question. But we got a super chat from Grat, who says this trade means no free agent wide receiver, but drafting one in the second round. More importantly, the Browns are going all in for a free agent D tackle, which is exactly what I wanted to get at to you, Earl. You've been on the board of Brian Burns, who's tagged, but you think defense is now the way to go. They're not absorbing a ton of cap money by this Jeudy trade, which, by the way, doesn't become official till Wednesday. This is just agreed upon. It's not officially official until Wednesday, but they still have a ton of money now, knowing the wide receiver market in free agency, knowing they have the ability to potentially draft the wide receiver in the second or third round, wherever they decide to use a pick. Are you even more confident now than you were prior to this trade that the Browns' big splash in free agency will be on the defensive side of the ball and not the offensive side of the ball?
Hell yeah, because I think Andrew Berry, he looked at the wide receiver market and he said, okay, there's no A-level players on this market. And so I'm not going to just go spend money on a wide receiver just because we need a wide receiver. Let me be smart. Let me make sure I allocate my free agency dollars in the proper places. The super chat said a defensive tackle. For me, I think it'll be an edge rusher. I'm high on Jonathan Grenard, right? I really believe Jonathan Grenard should be the guy that Andrew Berry goes out here and throws those big dollars after. I think a few things holds true with him. He's coming off the best season of his career, 12.5 sacks, and he did that when he had another quality edge rusher opposite of him, right? And if you're going to come in and play opposite of the defensive player of the year, I can only imagine that you'll get better. Then the second point to that is the defensive line coach that was with the Houston Texans last season is now here in Cleveland. His position coach is the guy that he spent the most time with in Houston. And so I will believe that, if you're not going to return to Houston, you still want to be able to be, have some type of relationship. And who the hell wouldn't want to join this defense after you've seen what they did from afar? He's 27 years old. This will get you off this whole every year I'm signing a 30-plus-year-old veteran to play opposite of Myles Garrett to where you can lock this dude up for the next 3 to 4 seasons. You got that taken care of. I'm more interested in bringing back a guy like Mo Hurst than I am spending that much money on a defensive tackle, simply because even though I know defensive tackle, if you can upgrade that, cool. But a need for a dominant edge rusher, I think, is more important than it is for somebody on the interior.
Yeah, it's something that I'm really glad the Browns address now because let me actually ask you guys this. Let's take out Pittman, Higgins, and Evans, the guys who were either tagged or signed. G. Bush, let's say Jerry Jeudy was a free agent, right? Yep. Where would you have ranked Jerry Jeudy among these other four? So you have Jeudy, Gabe Davis, Hollywood Brown, and Calvin Ridley. So the three guys we've kind of talked about as potential targets for the Browns, and Jeudy. So those four, how would you, Earl, and you go after G, how would you have ranked those four in terms of your top targets for the Browns, assuming they all cost us, assuming money was equal here?
He would have been third, tied for third with Gabe Davis for me. But I'll give you this: out of all three of those or four of those guys, it's very little between them. There's, I would like to take Hollywood Brown a little higher at number one. But here's the thing: Hollywood Brown has detractors too. Earl talked about it. He's a smallish type receiver. He does have some injuries, not as injuries we thought he was, but he does have vertical speed. When you look at a guy coming out of Jacksonville, I thought that when you wanted Calvin Ridley to step up, he really didn't do it at the end of the season. I thought he was a guy that was supposed to be a number one dude, but come to find out that they missed old boy, better than him, Christian Kirk. And then with Jerry Jeudy and when you get to Gabe Davis, both of them have talent. Both of them should be better than what they look like. They're about 700 yards a piece. Some of them, neither one of them have kind of lived up to their expectations in that next level. But the thing I like about Jerry Jeudy is, this guy, he had number one talent. He had an opportunity, and I think in Denver, it was a no-win situation. I could look at his situation and say, I like playing with Josh Allen better than I like playing with Russell Wilson. So I look at that as being up in the air. I would go with third, but you can't take away what they got him for though. And think about the way Amari Cooper has just turned it on. Think about how the 2 years Amari Cooper had. A lot of people saying, why would they let him go for a fifth round pick? Is he washed? Guess what? He's all-time leading receiver in the game. He put the team on his receiving core on his back. He's played with injuries. He's done exactly what he's supposed to do. And I think Jerry Jeudy is going to, in a contract year, motivated, along with Deshaun Watson, who's motivated, along with a lot of other guys that are motivated in the way they lost against the Texans. I think this is a beautiful move. Beautiful.
Or how would you rank those four?
Who's the four again?
Ridley, Hollywood, Jeudy, Davis.
I think Ridley is the head of the class, but I don't think there's a huge gap between all of them at all. I think, Ridley is kind of like he's the best of the free agent bunch, but he's not on that next level. And so, a lot of these dudes show some inconsistencies. Calvin Ridley had games last season where he couldn't even get 30, 40 yards receiving. So it's not like that, he separated himself. Everybody that we're talking about has shown inconsistencies in their game. So,
yeah, I want to read one super chat real quick. Chad says, opposing offensive coordinators are neutralizing Browns defensive ends with quick passes. You have to generate a pass rush up the middle with an elite pass rushing DT. And there are a few out there. We saw Justin Madubuike of Baltimore get just about $25 million a year.
Super bag.
$98 million over 4. So that's probably the going price for Christian Wilkins. Chris Jones will get even a little more than that. But with this move, and you feel pretty good about the receiving core, if they want to spend $25 million on a defensive player, they have the ability to now without completely dismantling the financial structure to also get a receiver. So Jerry's cap hit this season's about $13 million. I'm not sure exactly how much of that the Browns will inherit because it's a trade. Mm-hmm. It may be the full, it may be half. I'd have to look up the numbers. We hopped on right away, so I didn't get a chance to do that. But certainly not as much as you would have had to pay for a free agent wide receiver.
What if they got both? What if the Browns only got a pass rusher and a defensive tackle?
I thought you meant Christian Wilkins and Chris Jones, and I was like,
no, I'm just saying,
love that. That's operation stockpile to the max.
What if they allocated all their funds now to the defensive side of the football and found a way to bring in both a pass rusher and an interior defensive tackle, both hypothetically anywhere around 18, 20 million a year? Because now basically, if you're saying, and a great show Friday, by the way, but if you could open up anywhere from 40 to 45 million in cap space, and you've already traded for an upgrade or an additional wide receiver, now you can get creative and you can get funky and say, okay, let me go ahead, let me get 18 here this might be a little steep now, but this cap going up another 23% next year, projectedly anyway. Let me go ahead and lock up my defensive tackle here too. Like now you can really get creative and actually get two staples on the front of that defensive line because you've already went and traded for the potential, like with the expectation that Jerry Jeudy is going to be better in the Cleveland Browns uniform.
I knew I liked you for some reason, family member. I knew I liked you for some reason. See, he got greedy right there. That's what I like to see. This is like the Lord of the Rings when that little Smeagol was like, precious, with the precious ring. You know, you be going crazy when this free agency come around. And you just hit the nail right on the head, Earl. Get greedy. I want to tackle end to end. The opportunity is now. You got good enough at receiver where now I wouldn't mind just saying, you know what? Straight defense, McNuggets. No more. Listen, we'll worry about it. We'll worry about a young player, best available if you want to get another receiver in the draft or somebody move down to you or something at number 2. But right now, listen, Christian Wilkins out there looks crazy, and I'm gonna let you guys know. Don't swim over this. Chris Jones and Myles Garrett, it's over.
Unstoppable.
If you let them line up anytime, any place with their hand in the dirt, you have now morphed your team into a true problem. A very true problem. You're gonna have heartburn and indigestion.
Chris Jones said he's going back to KC. So unfortunately, I do not see a situation where, even though he's a free agent, I can't see him leaving. But hey, give him the whole bag. So I looked up Jerry Jeudy's cap number, by the way. It is a full.
It's like 12.9.
It's a full 12.9 on the cap this year. It's all base salary, so the Browns will inherit all of that. So whatever money they do have, it is a $13 million hit out of that. So I guess it is the equivalent of signing a receiver. So I'm not sure, depending how much restructuring they do and all that, if they'll have enough to sign 2 premier guys. But Earl, I'm with you. At least in the premise of it, I feel good about the receiving core. If you could draft any player in the draft or any position in the draft that could step in immediately and play, it's usually offensive guards and running backs. So if you don't want to spend $5-6 million on a Pollard, an Eckler, a Swift, whoever, as a compliment to Nick Chubb, maybe you spend a higher pick on a running back now, and he's even a cheaper option to pair in the backfield. Some people like Jerome Ford. I'm not sold on him being the running back too, alongside Chubb. I want another one, but at least in theory now, Earl, they do have the flexibility. 100% agree with you to spend the rest of their money on the defensive side of the football. And I got one super chat again before you can go, because this was related to what you said. But Jonathan Grenard will demand a long-term deal, according to Halim Youssef. Our cap isn't constructed to handle a long-term deal with a second edge. It'll have to be a prove-it deal. They have been consistent with this. Look at Chase Young, which may be why they keep going back to the one-year rentals, Za'Darius, Miles, et cetera, et cetera. And one more thing real quick, so we got some more information on the trade. The Browns have 2 5th and 2 6th rounds in this draft. The 5th they gave up to Denver and the 6th they gave up to Denver were the higher of the 2 picks. So it's pick 135 and pick 202.
So they still got a 5th and a 6th.
Still got a 5th and a 6th.
You go package that, go get another wide receiver that was struggling somewhere.
Let's do it. I'm with you, brother. I'm with you. Let's do it.
Like, go ahead. I know it's another wide receiver somewhere that don't like his situation. Situation might be bad. I mean, hell, you probably can get Mike Thomas at his age with his injury history for a 6th round pick.
He's a free agent. Listen. Can we get crazy for 1 sec, G? I don't hate the idea of signing Mike Thomas. Like, I'm being dead ass on it. I don't hate the idea of signing Mike Thomas.
Why? See, first of all, a lot of people just like, come on, listen. I should have enough cachet. Listen, I told you to go sign Joe Flacco. When I was like, oh, people were like, why sign? I'm like, give me a veteran receiver. Give me a veteran quarterback. And guess what? It worked out pretty well. Mike Thomas, you say what you want. At this point in time, you looking for pieces and you looking for skill set. You ain't looking for Madden players to get 1,200 yards. You looking for Mike Thomas to give you a jump ball in 3 games. You looking for him to catch a first down that David Bell wouldn't catch. That's where you looking at in these positions, right? And you got to understand, when guys is trying to make themselves rehabilitate themselves and make more rosters, You dumb to think that you would take. I'm not taking David Bell over Michael Thomas. That's not a dumb move. That's a wise, smart move. We was a Jarvis Landry receiver away last year from doing something. Y'all didn't see how we was looking in the playoffs? Bro, we just need somebody, right? Why you think we trying to get somebody for a backup plan for Chubb? Right now, the Cleveland Browns understand, and I like Project Stockpile because it put a little pressure on you. There's a reason why they ain't got no what's the names yet. Is there a reason why they have no extensions yet?
Who, the Browns and their own players?
Yeah, and their front office, their head coach. No, people can say, well, there's no rush, G. You tell that to me. They told me at UCSS I ain't had no contract today. It'd be a little bit of urgency. But don't tell me your contract ain't got nothing to do with it. Don't matter unless your name is on that line. I love Michael Thomas, and them is the small moves that I'm looking forward to them taking.
Hey, Mozzie is crazy. Mozzie is crazy. Not a West Side Crip though.
You crazy. Come on,
man.
We
got 2 more super chats, Earl, real quick. Halim said, Earl, you can disagree, but you have 5 years of evidence. They can't afford to give another DN money. They gave Agbo multiple years for cheaper money. You want to respond to that before we read the next one?
I mean, we don't have to agree. I mean, I know I can disagree. I see it one way. I think if you want to lock up if you want to lock up any player for any amount of time, you can.
That's imaginary.
Yeah, you could do that if you really wanted to.
I just seen them get imaginary money. I just see people just listen. They ain't even restructured the big dogs yet.
Yeah,
nah.
Other super chat real quick from Adolfo Roman. Regards from Mexico, Mike. Let's get together again and discuss more possible moves for the wide receiver and DNs best. Yeah, hit me up again, Adolfo. We'll hop on the podcast.
Hold on, that's 129.
Adolfo's from Mexico, so I think those are pesos. I don't know what that translates.
Well, shout out to everybody that's out here swinging that money right now. 1856. We appreciate all of y'all. These membership slanging. Hey, right now this is a dub for us. And by the way, we fleeced everybody. If you on another outlet and you thought you was getting this news, you gotta wait till Monday. That's what happens when you ain't got weekend staff. You wait till Monday to get to this story. We've already picked over it like crows. You're done.
Earl, big picture. We'll wrap up in 10 minutes, but big picture. I mean, let's grade the trade. A 5th and a 6th for Jerry Jeudy entering the 5th year of his deal. Like it, love it, hate it, A, B, C, D. How would you grade this move from the Browns?
I'm giving this trade a A. It's a flat out A. Listen, you had 2 5th-round picks, 2 6th-round picks. You gave away a 5th-round pick and a 6th-round pick for a guy that's 24 years old, still on this rookie contract. He's had some ups and downs. Got a lot of potential. His best football is still ahead of him. You're going to bring him into Cleveland, pair him with an OG and another Alabama alumni and Amari Cooper. And this dude is going to go crazy with excitement for the opportunity to play in Kevin Stefanski and Ken Dorsey's offense with Deshaun Watson as his quarterback. Like, this works for him. This works for the Browns. And it didn't cost us anything. Andrew Berry got an A grade from me for this move.
G. Bush.
Man, if you got anything less than an A, it didn't cost you nothing, bro. Like, let's not overvalue these picks. This is a 5 and a 6, and you still got a 5 and a 6. I get it's a prove it year, but guess what? I love prove it years. I love a prove it year for Watson. I like a prove it year for running backs that want something to come in and earn their spot, like Jerome Ford. I want Cedric Tillman to come in and say, well, listen, you ain't about to get my minutes. I need to prove that I should be a 3rd receiver, right? Like, people talk about prove it deals. Listen, I need motivation. I need competition. And right now, the Cleveland Browns got Jerry Jeudy for a 5th in a 6th-round pick. If he don't do nothing, guess what? You can go right back into the draft or draft into his replacement, and that money comes off the cap. So it's a brilliant move for me. I love it. And it gives you flexibility in the draft. It gives you flexibility in free agency. And it gives you flexibility moving forward if you do decide to go defense, if all the free agents are on that side of the football. I love it.
I'm going to go. Earl said something earlier that I had forgotten about that I wish he didn't say. But when you brought up the Steve Smith thing, I was just like, damn. So I'm going to give it a B+ just because I can't get the Steve Smith thing out of my head. But I think it's an upside for an A triple+. Like, you gave up essentially nothing. Jerry Jeudy's not lived up to his first-round talent yet. I certainly hope in a new system with a quarterback that should be an upgrade over what he's had, he can get to the guy who was drafted, by the way, ahead of CeeDee Lamb and ahead of Justin Jefferson. That's how highly he was thought of coming out of college, G. Those were the 3 first-round receivers in that draft, or the top 3 at least. CeeDee, a stud. Jefferson, be the best wide receiver in all of football. So, if Jeudy was looked at higher than those 2 coming out, then he obviously has the potential to be an absolute monster. I'm going to give it a B+ just because Earl mentioned the Steve Smith thing, and I can't get it out of my head.
Real quick to that point. So you know how they finished the draft and then they showed a way too early projection of next year's draft? They had Jerry Jeudy as the number 1 overall projected player in that draft, and they had him projected as the top 3 pick behind 2 quarterbacks. So even like the year before his last year at Alabama, everybody thought when this dude came out, he was going to be next up.
He was a stud, like a literal stud. He was the guy who was recruited, just like we said, I read that tweet from Albert Breer. They brought him in as the next Amari Cooper in Bama, and he lived up to all the expectations that come with that. And think about that as an 18-year-old, G, to walk into a program like Alabama with the expectations of you're the next Amari Cooper, who is just a tremendous talent in that program, won a national championship, set all these records, and he lived up to it all.
And listen,
it proves that he's got it in him. He's got the dog.
Go back and check. Listen, everybody, you know what we're going to do. We're going to get in our hot tub YouTube time machine. We're going to go back 4 or 5 years. We're going to be all over Jerry Jeudy highlights. Make sure you hit that like button. And I wonder who's going to hit the first person to hit the welcome to Cleveland Jerry Jeudy highlights on YouTube. I love it already. But here's the thing, though, too. Y'all got to understand something. Like, they assembling some offensive talent around here, because now I think they're gonna go get it back to mix with Nick Chubb and Deshaun Watson. Man, let me just talk to you real quick, big dog. Hey, they giving you some pieces.
Yeah,
they giving you some pieces. It ain't like we empty over here, dog. Let's get it going. Let's get it popping. I need to see these boys down at the crib, wherever you at, Houston or Cleveland, getting these routes together, getting routed up. You know what I'm saying? Because right now, I'm feeling good about the room for once. We like our room. We like the wide receivers room. I kind of like it. And I wouldn't mind if you added it in with the NFL draft too. So exciting times for the Browns. Shout out to Andrew Berry fleecing some people again and getting that bag together. I appreciate you.
Stone Cold Crook, man. Hey, listen, the city of Cleveland, do everything you can to protect Andrew Berry. Where it is, CPD is putting arrest warrants out, for thievery. Like, he's wanted right now for theft. Like, make sure we keep our GM safe, man. Like, he got warrants on his head. He out here just robbing everybody. Like, it's crazy.
Soul Train says Jeudy is only 24, still has the potential to be better. Absolutely. We will wrap up with this, guys. One last question. And Earl, I'll start with you, then we'll go G, and I'll finish. I think we all believed that the Browns at 54 were going to draft a wide receiver, right? Like, that was their target position, assuming that it all fell in the right way. That was what they were going to hopefully acquire with the 54th pick. After this move, what position do you think the player they take at 54, assuming they stay, will play? Do you still think it's a receiver? Do you think it goes to the offensive line, defensive line, DBs? But where do you think the Browns go now with the 54th pick in the draft?
So before this trade even happened, a lot of the mock drafts that I have been reading over the last couple of days had the Browns actually taking a defensive tackle with their first pick. And so I'm going to just say defensive tackle. People might not agree with me. It's a pipe dream to think you can get 2 monsters on a defensive line. But honestly, realistically, I can see them signing the defensive tackle and like Mo Hurst and drafting one with that second pick, especially because there's so many wide receivers, as deep as the class is, that's going to be off the board by the time the Browns actually get to that pick. And I just think like at that time, it might be best player available. So it'll be interesting to see, to be totally honest with you.
G. Bush, where do you think the Browns go with 54 now?
Easy money, man. Before they went out and got Jerry Jeudy, the mock drafts had them drafting a receiver. I think this does nothing to change that projection. In the second round, I got a guy that I've been loving from day one, Xavier Legette. If you don't know, after you get done watching Jerry Jeudy highlights, get down to South Carolina. The boy is 6'3", 227. They got him as a day 2 prospect. This dude needs some work on his release, but when it comes to catching the ball, being physical, going to high point with upside the skill set, Xavier Legette, I expect the Browns to take him if he's there on the board of 54. And then now you got something to talk about. You got a backup or a person that can step up if Jerry Jeudy doesn't this year. Remember, he's still, this is a prove it year. If he don't prove it, you got to have backup. And the backup you need in the building is Xavier Legette, and he would be the most physically gifted receiver as a rookie on the Browns roster, bar none. That's where they're going with it.
And if that don't work, you can go in the 3rd round. You can get Baby Rice out of USC. And before anybody say, I don't know if that'll work or not, listen, USC then started to people sleeping, man. Two of the best receivers in the NFL right now that then came out over the last 4 or 5 years and then came out of USC. And this is Jerry Rice's kid. The pedigree is there, right? So that's another one, just it's gonna be some people there.
I actually agree with G. I still think they take a receiver, whether it's the guy from South Carolina, Legette, Troy Franklin from Oregon, any of the guys who are out there. One thing they don't have on the roster still in that wide receiver core is a true burner. And you look at Jerry Jeudy, I know he ran a high 40 time, or fast 40 time, excuse me. He plays more in the underneath intermediate range than he does on the deep routes. I saw a stat, and if I could pull it up real quick, it's going to blow your mind real quick. But Warren Sharp put out a stat about Russell Wilson's passes last year. And if I could pull it up in 1 sec, I'm going to see if I find the tweet. Essentially, he was the king of dump downs. Of all the quarterbacks in the last 20 years, it was the last 19 years going back to 2005, he threw the most passes ever in one season within 5 yards of the line of scrimmage and within 10 yards of the line of scrimmage and behind the line of scrimmage. So it was just dump down city in Denver. So maybe Jerry Jeudy has the ability to be a bigger deep threat than it was shown, but I still think they need a legitimate burner on the outside. The same thing they tried to sign Marquise Goodwin for. So Troy Franklin's a guy I would be a big fan of at number 54. If he's there. To recap, I can't find the tweet. I'll put it up there. I'll put that up there on Monday's show. But to recap, the Browns have acquired Jerry Jeudy for a 2024 5th and 6th round pick. They still have a 5th and a 6th round pick. They had 2 in each round. They now traded the higher of the 2 to Denver in exchange for Jerry Jeudy. Jeudy is entering his 5th season in the league. The Broncos picked up his 5th-year option, which is why his cap hit this season, which the Browns will inherit, is just shy of $13 million. But at the end of the day, the Cleveland Browns receiving room an hour ago was Amari Cooper, Elijah Moore, and Cedric Tillman. Didn't feel great about that. Right now at 1:32 p.m., it is Amari Cooper, Jerry Jeudy, Elijah Moore, and Cedric Tillman, which makes you feel a lot better about the overall big picture. We appreciate the 2,000 people who tuned in live for this. You guys are the true MVPs. We love y'all. We appreciate everything y'all do to support us. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. You can catch the Ultimate Brown Show with G. I'm sure he'll be reacting to this news on Monday with Tyvis. We'll be reacting to the news on the Ultimate Cleveland Show on Monday as well at 11 o'clock. You can find us in podcast form. And most importantly, free agency starts Monday, guys. It's going to be a wild week, so make sure you guys are tapped in and watching the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show and our family of shows throughout the entire week. We'll be on. It's probably the first of many live streams we'll do this week as the Browns continue to sign some big-name players. For the Pearl, G. Bush, I'm Mikey McNuggets. We'll see y'all on Monday. Peace.
Peace.